Happy Sunday, guys. It's your girl, Amanda Miller with 105.7 The Phase. And it is almost 7 o'clock. So just wanted to jump on here at our regular scheduled time. Very, very sorry that we missed you guys last Sunday. Because the Sunday before, we had an amazing discussion topic, and it was about the Black community, and it was very engaging and very exciting and very fulfilling. And so hoping that we will have that same on today. And so give me a second. Just give us a moment and let people come in the room, because we've decided just to jump on here. Hey, girl.
Hello, hello.
So, yeah, I was just trying to tell them, just, let us get the opportunity to let people just dive, come in the room,
Mm-hmm.
even though we're on early at 6:55. We just want to be sure that we give people the opportunity to join. And so in the midst of that, guys, if you have not, we'll go ahead and just share with you. Make sure you downloaded our mobile app at 105.7 The Phase. Make sure you're following us on our platforms, IG, Facebook, on our internet, Spotify, all those places where you can find 105.7 The Phase. Make sure you guys are also tuning in to Talk.Queens on IG. And then you can follow the Facebook page, Amanda Miller Talks. And of course, if you want to give your platform, you can. But guys, we also ask you guys each and every Sunday to make sure that after the show, or anytime, not just after the show, but anytime, we always say, whatever topics you want to discuss, make sure you guys inbox us, because it is important that we talk about topics that you want to hear about. So granted, we talk about some of the things that B and I discussed, but there is an amazing appreciation for any audience where people talk about the things that the audience wants to hear about the most. And I'll pitch it over to you.
So, to piggyback, yes, please let us know what you want to talk about, not just on the Talk Queens platform, but like you said, on our personal platforms as well. Like we've said multiple times, we happen to be family, so we talk often. So, we will be able to get that to you guys. We always want to be engaging. We always want to make sure that you guys are really happy in what you see and wanting to engage with us as well. My own social media platforms are Southern_Made22 here on Instagram and B Harad on Facebook. And it's either one of those two for any other social medias, to be honest, TikTok as well as Snapchat, Twitter, and all of that. Please, please, please make sure you follow us. Make sure you go see our podcast. If you can't see them live, or if you guys want to catch up on what we've been talking about, please head over to our YouTube and all our podcasts on 105.7 The Phase through iHeartRadio and Apple Podcasts, Spotify Podcast, anywhere you get your podcasts.
Right.
We are there.
Anywhere.
Anywhere.
Anywhere you get
Because
your podcast, y'all make
everybody
sure
got
y'all are
preferences.
right.
Everybody got preferences. Because I happen to be an Apple Podcast person. And it's okay. I get it on iHeartRadio. It's weird hearing myself back.
Right.
But
Right. So yeah, guys, give us a moment to, as we mentioned, let people come in the room before we just dive in. Like I was telling them, the week we missed last week, but the week prior,
oh yeah.
um, oh my goodness, an amazing discussion, amazing conversation, and it was hot. And so we really, right, steaming hot. So we enjoyed it, right? And that's
Yes.
what we like, we want difference of opinions. Um, Stephen A. Stephen A. I was telling somebody about Stephen A. and how Stephen A. and he used to give it to his people on the sports show. But again, everybody loves him. Well, let me just say this: a great following, because he
I was
could be
about to
very
say,
controversial.
because Dallas Cowboy Nation does not like that man
Right.
because,
So I was
sir,
like, let me
you
go
are a
back.
unnecessary hater of the Dallas Cowboys. But it's fine. It's fine. Us professionals,
Absolutely.
yes.
Hey,
I was about to say,
ambition.
hey, ambition, how
Yeah,
you doing?
but it's great to know that we can bring out the best of each other
Mm-hmm.
and still move forward. And that's what we were talking about the Black community. And then our part two was to be about things that we can do better to make sure that we're helping in those spaces, as far as the whys
Mm-hmm.
behind some of the things that we shared on part one.
Mm-hmm.
And so what I would like to do is kind of start off by one, um, making sure that we understand that, well, let me say this. So I saw, and I don't know if you've seen it yet, the Jeezy podcast.
Which one?
Jeezy and Neil Long,
Okay.
the
Yeah,
interview.
yeah, yeah.
Let me say the interview,
Yes.
not podcast. And it was amazing. And I like to go through comments, right?
Mm-hmm.
So somebody said on one of the comments that it is so many, a million podcasts, men and women, that are popping up on social media um, every day, and that particular interview was refreshing for them to see that type of tone and sit down and interview and question and atmosphere. And
Yeah.
so it hit me to say that people have choices, and we remember we talked about that
Mm-hmm.
on the Black community about choices. People have choices, so that was a choice for them to say that that was refreshing. And in the midst of all of these podcasts that they mentioned that's popping up, we have choices to decide who we want to follow.
Yeah.
And when we decide whether Talk.Queens is for me, this is the type of conversations and dialogue that I would like to tune into or not.
Yeah.
And so we have those choices. It's like a TV show. Like, I used to love the Love and Hip Hops. Well, I stopped watching because of, even though some of the characters I love on
Mm-hmm.
there, but I stopped watching because all of the drama and the fighting. That was a choice
Choice.
for me.
Right.
So I say that to say, with our podcast, granted, it may be for you and it may not be, and that's okay, because in life we have choices to determine where we want to tune in and where we don't.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to lead off by that because we got our first fan mail. Our
Y'all, we
first
had,
fan mail.
y'all, we had a whole fan.
Right. We have a whole fan and we appreciate it. We want to jump on and say, hey, we appreciate everybody that tunes in each and every Sunday at 7 o'clock. We wanted to say that, hey, we appreciate you for even reaching out and sharing um, the things that you shared. And here's some of the things that, in my opinion, for me, I
Mm.
said to myself, giving someone that much energy, I would not. Like I say, that watch these shows and things that I don't resonate with, I kind of
So,
back off. Go ahead.
so Amanda is being very,
Wait,
very,
let me
very, very,
finish.
very covered
Let me
because
finish.
we agreed that we was gonna
Right,
let me
right,
go.
right.
We agreed.
Okay, and I'm gonna shift to you. I'm gonna shift to you. So I just say I wouldn't have given anybody that type of energy where I felt the need to sit down and go to that extent, especially as a fan. What, and you mentioned that several times within your letter or
Your
communication, whatever
dissertation.
that is. You mentioned that a couple of times as far as being a fan and seeing potential and the things like that and wanting to see us win. And we appreciate that. But the one thing that stood out to me is the fact that when we give feedback, if you work on anybody's job, if you're a leader, and you've sat down with your supervisor, they have told you, one, the things that you do well, and two, opportunities that you can work on. You did none of that. And so, with that being stated, that's why it came off as being a hater, being obsessed, and really just being what I talked about in the Black community, doing too much. Because feedback is welcome in any setting, and we welcome it, even here on Talk.Queens. But again, if you are truly for us, just like your supervisor on your job or your leader gives you feedback, one that gives you those strengths and opportunities, strengths and things you do well. And then they come back and say, well, here's the things or those skill gaps that you can close. And here's how you do that. But you didn't do that. And so that's why we did not take this letter seriously. We did not take this communication seriously at all, simply because one of the things that was too big is the fact that you went out of your way to look for me. And I won't even say that on this platform. That's what most people felt was over the top, is that you went out of your way to look for me, which means it made it scary for people for my life. It made it scary that you're obsessed with us. And that's what made it scary, because I would not have taken the time to look for anybody when we got all these social media platforms that you could have done that on.
I I hope I have made it very, very clear on this platform multiple times. I don't play when it comes to my family, y'all. I do not. There are very few things in this world that'll get me hot, and playing with my family is one of them. The level of concern that I had for my family off of something that she just wanted to do for fun, for enjoyment, for shoot, for the betterment of our families. Nobody should be made to feel like they are in jeopardy and their safety is compromised. Because at the end of the day, you looked for this person's official address. And for all of y'all that don't know, Amanda uses a moniker. Amanda's not her name. Amanda uses a moniker. I use my name, but Amanda does not. So for you to get a letter, and that's what I wanted to preface. That's what I want. We had a typed out letter sent to her home where her children laid their heads. That's not a joke. That's not funny. That's not cute. That is true stalker like and obsessive like behavior. And personally, I don't care what was in the letter. People say what they want to say. You weren't even big enough and a fan enough to put your name in it. So your critique wasn't a critique. It was just trying to
Right.
blast. It wasn't a
Absolutely.
critique. It was trying to blast, and it's okay. You don't have to. You can say that. That's perfectly fine. You can have whatever blasting you want to. Everybody got an opinion, like everybody got an asshole. It's fine. They talked about Jesus. I know they're gonna talk about us, but to put the safety of her family at jeopardy, that's not okay. That's not okay. I don't play with it. And personally, I told her she needs to go to the police
Well, a lot
because that's not
of people
okay.
did. A lot of
I'm
people.
about to say I can only attest to what I said.
Mm-hmm.
I told her she needs to go to the police because that's not okay. My cousins put their heads down there. My little cousins put their head down there. I'm not playing about their safety. I'm not playing about my big cousin's safety. I'm not playing about anybody of my family's safety. So please, if y'all want to have any critiques, we are open to
Yeah,
it. If
definitely.
y'all want to bash us, bro, like we're open
Right.
to that too.
Because we
Like
got thick
I
skin.
love being the villain. Like I love playing the villain. It's fine. So
Yeah.
if you want to bash us, that's fine too. But if you put our families in jeopardy, you put our families and our safety in the mix, that's something we're not playing with at
Because
all.
here's the thing for me, it's like, okay, we welcome, like you just mentioned, critiques and
Yes.
feedbacks, and all of those things are welcome, because we got thick skin, and we want you guys to continue to engage and come on the show, and things that you see that we can do better, definitely share those things. But it was just way too far because you hid behind a false narrative.
Mm-hmm.
If you had just came to us and said, hey, here's some things that I like about your
I
show.
like
Here's
about
some
y'all,
things
and
that
here's
I
like
think
I
you guys
can't
could do better.
stand. Like
Right.
we'd have been
Um,
like,
th-
okay, cool.
right. Those that would have been fine. But all the things and the over the top and the Aaliyah two-page letter was too much. And so that's kind of why I wanted to come on today, and because we were scheduled to do our Black community conversation
Last.
that week and we kind of missed it. And when we did the Black community conversation, my thing was about the Black community conversation, and B and I kind of sing differently in this conversation.
Mm.
We do too much, and that was kind of what I was talking about. Give me a second and I'll go back to, somebody said what happened to Al? And then Shamar was saying that's way too far, and it is way too far. And it was very way too far.
Yeah.
But what we were talking about as far as the Black community is, like I was saying on that show, we do too much, and we do. That was kind of what I was talking about.
Yeah.
If we were going to embrace one another, then you do it in a different manner. If we're going to love and support each other as a Black community, that was not the way to do
Yeah.
it. If we are going to ensure that all the things within that letter was taken seriously, then you wouldn't hid behind a false narrative. And also, where are your credentials? You got to show us something in order for us to even take it seriously. Because if you're not a consultant, if you're not an advisory, if you don't have a degree in some of these things, consultant in some of these things, or a track record, I'm not going to even say of being successful, how was you thinking that we were really going to take it serious? What was the motive?
And for me, credentials can be that you are just a viewer, because a lot of y'all are on here with us constantly every week, every other week. You guys stay up on the thing, and even had that been the thing, hey, I've been watching you guys since last year when you first started. I love this episode, but I'm starting to see that this is starting to be a trend. I'd have taken that, but that's not what you did. You made a point to say that you didn't care that much about us, yet you sat down, typed out a letter, printed it, put it in an envelope, got a forever stamp with. Let's remind us, a book of forever stamps is not cheap. I bought them. They ain't cheap. They like $30. You cared enough to do all of that, but then you don't care about it.
But that's why it was so double standard.
It didn't
You
make
said I'm a
sense.
fan and I want you to win and I see the potential, but then you got so frustrated. What was so, and again, we welcome the feedback, but again, one, how can I take it seriously when you're writing, you're typing this thing, which makes it even more scarier that if you type it, and then we all know it's got to be on the Word document. Well, it corrects your spelling.
And
It
baby,
corrects,
it still was wrong. How?
right.
How?
How? Because that just goes to show you were very frustrated, which makes it scary. Your capital letters in the next sentence, none of them was even capital after that. And when you got to the bottom of it, all your letters were in caps, like you were shouting. And that's what made it seemed that you were frustrated, not a fan, but obsessed. And so again, we want people to really understand. We welcome your feedback. We want you guys to help us be better. We want to bring you subject matters that you would like to hear. But there is no way possible I would have let someone that's on a once out of a week, 7 o'clock to 8 o'clock, got me that frustrated that I sat down and wrote somebody a letter. What's the name? They say jerks by
Jerk by
nature
nature. Fuck
said
'em.
fuck them. And so what was the other person name that asked what
I
happened?
am money.
How you pronounce it?
I am. Oh my goodness, I can
What?
never pronounce
Well,
the
we
last
were
part.
and right.
It's.
And
I call her
so
sweetie. That is my sweetie.
hey, and so we got fan mail, and we were just saying, guys, we just want to make sure that you guys give us feedback on the show, because we did get our first fan mail, and
You
we
throw
we,
me off,
we
bro. Excuse
and
me.
we welcome it. Don't ever think that we're not strong enough on here to receive feedback. It was just in the mannerism in
Mm-hmm.
which it was done. It was tasteless. The tone. And again, you cannot be a fan and say, I want you to win, and in the same breath, give nothing of um, the things that you like about it. Because, like I mentioned at the top, even if you're a leader, you're giving your employees things that they do well and
Constructive
the things that they
criticism.
can close as a skill gap. You don't just hone in. And if y'all do have leaders out there like that, y'all need to be talking to their managers, because there is no way you're on somebody's job. And if you're not a leader, allow your manager or leader to just give you skill gaps as opposed to things that you
Mm-hmm.
do well and the things that you can close, and a roadmap on how to close those things. So that's why we didn't take it seriously as far as your letter, but we welcome it, and we thank you
But so we welcome
that you thought
the
about
idea.
it.
Okay.
Yes, of course, of course, of course. So let's shift um to what we were talking about um, within our Black community.
Yes.
And I want to feed off of this, because, like, I was frustrated in that last segment because of things like this. Like, I don't understand why we feel the need to beat each other up,
Mm-hmm.
because what I like, you may not like. And that's okay. The stars, when we look in the sky, the stars align, and although they look the same, they are different. And with that being different, that's what makes the sky beautiful, and that's what makes this world beautiful, because we are all different. If God wanted me and you to walk the same, to wear our hair the same, to wear our earrings the same, to wear our makeup the same, why would he have to took the time to uniquely make us different?
I get that. And we can have this idealized and idyllic um, thought process and goal. But I want us to, when we're thinking about this, still keep a true grasp on the reality of what society is doing and how we can shift it. Because I'm not saying you're not right. I truly believe that and know that and live in the fact that I'm not you. You ain't never gonna be me. You can never be me. There can never be another me. It's just me. Even my daughter, I tell my daughter all the time, so I want to be like you, mommy. No, be like you.
Right,
God made you. God
right.
made me to make you. You do that. That's two different things. But what I want to bring into the thought process, because it was a thing that we said last week, like not last week, week before last,
Mm-hmm.
and you were like, a lot of the times when I've done my upward mobility in my company, that it has been people who don't look like me helping me the most.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
agree with that, and I understand, having been in a lot of different positions in life, I understand why. And I feel like we don't give society, we decide to give society its credit when it doesn't need it, but we don't give it to it when it deserves it,
I
and we need to
feel
give
you.
ourselves grace as well. Because a lot of the times that is that way, because that person who doesn't look like you knows that y'all aren't in the same arena. The person who looks like you, who is trying to get to where you're getting to, y'all are in the same arena. Y'all are competitors, and not many competitors help one another. And is that
Right.
right? Is that right? No. No, it's not. Because in the day, you should want somebody to be at their best when you're competing against them, because you want to beat the
Mm-hmm.
best on purpose, right?
Mm-hmm.
So is that right to do? No. But that is the society that we live in. A lot of the times, where we are, especially in this society, we as an African American community have been pitted against each other for so long that we don't understand the concept of, wait a minute, break it and we come amongst each other. So the goal at this point is to get back to the place where we, prior to segregation, where we desegregation, where we were the people working within ourselves to make ourselves be at a higher level. Because let's be real, they know that if we are unified, we are unstoppable. There's a reason they don't want us that way. And
Right.
there's a reason why the divide is happening, because we have for so long been put at this
Right.
for
And
so long
that's what
that
took.
now that is our
Mm-hmm.
reality, and we think that that's exactly how we're supposed to be, and it's not.
Right. Absolutely.
So
And it took
this
me back.
this
Right. And it took
conversation
me
need
back.
be about the goal of
Right.
how
Right. Right.
do we, from the inside out, go back to this is us against the world type
Right.
mentality. Not it's me against you and you and you and you and you. No, no,
Right.
no, no, no. It's us against the world. how do we get back there?
Right. And I want to make sure you guys are engaged and tuning in and giving us your thoughts and opinions. Are we talking the divide between men and women? No,
No.
cousin, we're actually talking about African
The
American
African American
and other
community.
ethnicities.
Mm-hmm.
Because like the week prior we talked about the Black community, and I shared some things about how it just it frustrates me because and I get in a space where when I see our people and the way we do things to one another, that it frustrates me that we do not um join forces, like she said, and make sure that we're uplifting each other instead of beating each other down. I often see how much energy that we put into some of the things I mentioned um, was like robbing the robbing robbing the local drug dealer, Black women being okay with sleeping with other people's men, and um, just the scams that we do on one another. And like I mentioned some things about how the white people, they try to beat the system as opposed to one another. So we talked about some of those things, and I was just real frustrated with the fact that we often do so much against one another. Well, in the interim, we ended up with our first fan mail. Well, our first fan mail, kind of said that they wanted us to win and they support us. Well, and see some potential in the show, but yet the whole letter was about negativity. And so it just took us right back to that same subject of beating us down as a society, as a people, as a race, as two African American women that's only trying to just get on here and have a platform for people to share their thoughts and have those conversations that you would like to talk about, because we ask every time, inbox us,
Mm-hmm.
because it was meant that only thing we talk about it, and that's not true. And if you've been following the show, we've been talking about plenty other things since the show started. There was a space when we very first started a year ago where we talked a lot about relationships. We haven't talked about relationships and God knows when.
Wild.
Right. And so if you really been following us, you would
Wow.
know that. And so that's why, again, it feels like always we beat each other down where we can find opportunities to support each other. But again, the other ethnicities, they are looking for us to do exactly what she said.
I will
Then again, go ahead.
I will preface by saying, because I know this is a thought process to some people, just because I've gotten little messages about it personally. We are making the assumption, some people say this is an assumption that this person is Black. We are making the assumption that this person is from our community because of what was in the letter,
That's right. And
the
we're not,
jargon and the
that's right.
slang that was in the letter. Because it was a lot of colloquialisms that were close to us as African Americans. So
Right.
we are that is our assumption based off the evidence and the facts that we have.
That's right.
May
That's
we
right.
be
Other than that,
are we
we would not have.
1000% correct? We don't
That's right.
know, because they didn't feel I don't know, emboldened to put their name or their usernames or anything associated with it, so we have no way to know for sure. But off
Right.
of the letter that we received, the colloquialisms that were used, that is what
Right.
we can only take
Because
from what
what
we see.
we have come to the conclusion of, whoever this fan is, you really know us.
Yeah,
That, yeah, you know
you
me.
know her.
Let me say that.
Cause you
Let me
went
say
to
that. So
search,
we're
because
not gonna
they also
sugarcoat
went
it.
to search for her,
Right.
because again,
You know me.
Amanda Miller is a moniker, it's not her name, but this was sent to her personal address.
So you know
And
me.
I'm about to say, and my name is more associated, my actual name is more associated with my government name on here. So it would have made more sense for you to send it to me, because my address is actually Googleable. Like, you can Google my name and my address will pop up. Well, one of my addresses will pop up. I'll get the letter. But the fact that this person specifically mailed it to
Targeted.
Amanda's house
That's
with
right.
the
So that
intent to
make
get
this more
Amanda
about
and my
me.
attention.
Right.
Exactly. So this and that's why y'all beginning this. I had to calm down for a second. I'm glad she stopped me from talking because I was about to get hot. I don't blame when it comes to my family.
I
I
did.
really don't.
I did.
Y'all
I
will
did.
snap
I
me.
did. And we are so sorry that I am not saying your name right, but I did. And they
You
have
said
been
T.
very helpful in that space. So
Yeah.
you're absolutely right. They have been very helpful, very deep in communication with helping me remove that because again, it was again we welcome feedback.
It is the way in which
Everything
we just want to
is the way
reiterate
to
it
do
was the way
things.
in which it was done.
Absolutely.
Because if you wanted to bash us, we have no problem with that. Like, bro, we thick skinned it out here. But to put the safety, because I don't think y'all understand how much that is a way of control and a way of saying, I know where you are and I know where your
Because
kids lay
that's
their
what
head.
you
That's
right.
not
You
okay.
deliberately
You
wanted
that's
that
not
to
okay, bro.
be stated.
And that's not
Right. Right.
okay. Like I don't play with a lot. I don't play when it comes to my family. Like, please don't have me come up to Atlanta. Please don't. I'm not trying to call my cousin and be like, hey yo, get me out of jail.
But the sad
Granted,
thing
they do
is,
it.
I
They
would
would
not
do
have
it,
given,
but
yeah, I wouldn't have given anybody that much energy to yet again, um, not embrace my black sisters, not try to, even if you felt in your heart of
that
hearts everything
we
that
was
you
just
said,
trash. You don't
right,
do it like
I
that.
just wouldn't have done it. Like,
Cause you
wow.
don't matter that much. Like, cause you
Period.
really don't. Like, nobody matters that much. I don't like y'all have from a couple of months ago, y'all have heard the ups and downs of me and my baby daddy. Let me explain to you how I would never write a letter and be like, you are this and this. Like, I ain't doing all that. That's insane. That is insane. Yes, T is correct. Nothing's wrong with feedback, but don't contact my domicile unless you want to catch this smoke. 1000%. Because she may not do it, but I will.
Right.
I just want y'all to understand. We have said this before. She is the real kind part of the coin. I am not. I am not.
But I want to
Please
hear
stop.
from you guys in the audience. Like, what do you think the intent and motives? Because again, I just wonder what was your thoughts behind thinking that that would shift anything, that would change anything, especially in the tone and mannerism in which it was done. Because what I want to see happen, I want to see for me, everybody that wants to win and in the things in the spaces that you do, I want you to win. I have two girlfriends that have been very successful in the spaces and the things that they do. One have a trucking company business where she teaches um, and give CDLs. And then the other, she has a book and she has a skin software company and they make dinnerware. And they've been very successful in that space. Um, is there some of the things that I could say what that I may not do in my marketing that I see them do? Why would I sit down and write them and say, well, I wouldn't have done that, or I wouldn't have no. Because that's what they see as the way to market themselves. I want to see you win. So and I actually put it on my page to give them support and to tell people to go follow them. If you want to see us win, why don't you um give come we would like to have you on the show. Come on the show. Tell us the things that you would like to help us do to make us better, to market us, help us win. Just like the young ladies, I post their stuff all the time. Post us, share us if you want us to win like your letter states.
Mm-hmm. We have a couple of comments. I will start outside the what's ups, but hey to everybody, and everybody says hey back to each other. But Jay Mills, long story short, we got some hate mail sent to Amanda's actual home where her and her children live. It was really condescending and pretty hateful. We are talking about why that would even be a thought process for you to do, especially if you say you don't care. But that is a part of the conversation. It kind of ties in with what we were talking about prior. And one of the points that Amanda brought up was why she felt as though she got more help from people that don't look like her opposed to people that look like her. My statement was that we have been in this battle of competing with each other for so long to be on top because we all want to get to that spot. But we competing with each other for so long, we have completely forgotten the community of the African American, the African American community in this in society, and because that's what society has to see for so long. But that is part of what we were talking about. T answered your question. She said, like you said, they know you. They are some true haters slash jealous, 1000%, and they wanted to get under your skin,
And you
which you
didn't.
can't. Let's be for real. I can answer that for you. If you thought y'all was gonna, if that was their goal, then achieve it.
Failed
Um,
because I'm still her.
because I just want to point out in that letter it says that I am. Is the person said that I am basic and that nobody would want to be with me. I got 3 kids that say that is quite quite not the truth.
Girl.
Personally, but in this inbox that stay flooded, but hey.
Right.
Um, our cousin said sounds like a hating motherfucker, which yes, they were. Um, we also have from Shamara says I feel like it was to get under your skin, but the fact it was typed so more than that. It's a lot. And then Marcus said I do. I
Okay, what did I
know.
do?
uh we'll
Like
talk about
you,
that.
like you.
We'll talk about that often.
And so that's why I say we as African American have to allow us to be us. Just like Marcus says, I do. Like what he feels or what he see in her, you may not, and that's okay.
Because I'm only for the strong. Just say you weak. It's fine. I'm only for the strong.
And that's okay. We gotta understand that.
Everybody's like, I've always said that. I said this when it because anybody who knows me knows that I want to go into sex therapy as a career. I have always said when talking to people about, their relational things and things that they like, especially when it comes to like bedrooms and stuff, you can't yuck somebody else's yum. What somebody else feels is amazing, you may be like, ew, I don't want to do that. But that's not for you to worry about because that's not you. It's not you and your partner. It's not for you to worry about. It's not happening in your bed or in your personal private moments. So you cannot worry about anything that does not have to do with you. Your preferences may not be somebody else's preferences. And guess what? That's okay. No
Right.
one's
It
going to
is
judge you for that.
okay. Like it is not that big of a deal. Um, it just make me think about one of the topics that we had about mental stability.
Exactly. Yeah, I
And
do this tomorrow.
then Pastor was talking today about childhood trauma,
Mm-hmm.
and it took me to that letter as well. What is going on seems to be so deeply rooted because again, the way the letter was and some of the verbiage and the capital letters like you're screaming, it's like, and then to say at the end, I'm just over it. Like it was weird because it's like you're frustrated about somebody else. Why? I would never let someone else
It
get me
can't
that.
do that much.
Yeah,
Can't. I can't.
that is
If you let
something.
somebody told me something. If you let somebody pull you out of your skin, how much power are you giving to somebody else? Like,
That's right.
that is insane. Think about that. For you to allow someone to make you step out of yourself or go to extenuating circumstances, not someone that you love or someone that you care about, like your kids or your family. No, no, no. A complete stranger get you that much out your pocket. Like, that is insane.
That's weird. That
And
there's
and for
some tough
me,
conversations that needs to be
and that's
had,
what I was about to
and
say.
and
For
that's
me, that
okay
leads
because we
back
talk
to
about that all the time,
mm-hmm,
right? About being okay to have therapy.
yeah, that leads back to for me though the point of our part two conversation, which was what are the goals? How do we get to the overall goal of us becoming more impactful as a community when mm, would one of those main steps to the goal be going to therapy more?
Hmm.
Would one of those main steps be being more self-aware and
Right.
more emotionally regulated? Would one of those steps be, a love of self
Right.
more? Like, what are some of these? I don't know what these screen things are doing. What are some of these steps to get? What's happening? What are some of these steps to get to the overall goal as a community to come together and really, really, really delve into changing a society to be what's best for us as well?
Right. 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 Because if and we got to recognize the signs in people and stop ignoring it.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes we will see things in people and we'll just say, oh, they're just having a bad day, or oh, that's just such and such. No,
Right.
we have to, and when we see continuous patterns in people's behaviors, we got to be okay with addressing that, whether it's our elder, whether it's, just kids, whether it's our coworkers, whether it's friend, family, or, and sometimes with people say, well, I'm okay. Well, are you truly okay? We got to
Yeah.
be okay with saying, are you truly
Okay.
okay? Pastor talked about, we'll say, why are you acting like that? Instead of saying, what happened to make you act like that? Because a lot of
Mm.
times there are things that people have gone through that really truly makes them act the way that they act. And for some reason, there's something going on with that person. I'm sorry.
Yeah. To
Let's read some of the comments.
yeah. So we'll start right here. Um, we'll start with Shimon. He said, "Come on, man, be for real." And then we have T that says, "Y'all are doing something right."
Thank
Y'all got
you.
haters. Y'all got haters. LOL. That's the same thing I said when she called me, bro. I said, "You must be doing something right, because somebody talking shit, so something's right." Shimon said, "I didn't." Then said, "I tell my kids that all the time." J Mill 2024 said, "People have a sense of entitlement of their own opinions." I like that.
Absolutely. I
Um,
love that.
and Simone said, "The mere fact that a whole community, a lot of our people don't recognize that they're suffering from trauma or dealing with issues. Therapy isn't a bad thing, because me being able to communicate your feelings and or thoughts isn't a weakness. It's actually empowering, because as you unpack those things, you break the continuous cycle.
Absolutely.
Also, knowing that you won't be ridiculed or chastised for bettering yourself. Fuck what everybody else got to say. Be yourself."
And
I
that's what I was saying too. I'm
1000%
glad you go
agree with
ahead. I'm
it.
sorry.
No, I 1000% agree with that, and I know we talked about it before. That sentiment would be something that you agree with too, because at
Yeah,
the
be
end of the
yourself.
day, you gotta be you, bro. Like, that's the only thing that God put you on here to do, is be you and walk in your purpose. That's it. Like, he take care of everything. Like, I promise you, do what you're
Right.
supposed to do and be you and walk in your purpose. Be what He designed you to be, and that's all you got to worry about. You got one job, do it. And as a community, because I'm keep trying to make sure we tie it back to the
That's
point.
right.
As a
And right. That's
community,
right. I love
we
it. Go
have
ahead.
to, as a community, we have to sit down and truly deal with our trauma, and not just having it be told, well, it happened hundreds of years ago. It's not. No, there's real trauma with taking a person from that is delved into our DNA at this point, from taking a person by force from where they are, from where they were, to bringing them to a whole entire new place where they had to literally have survival of the fittest on them dang on boats to even get here. Because some people jumped off them damn ships because they couldn't handle it no more. Some people got too sick that they just cooked them off the ships. And we made that trek over here to be subjugated and disrespected and harmed and raped and belittled and abused and taken for granted. Like, we had so much done to us that on a DNA level, we have a lot that we have to unpack. And then continuously through time, we're still consistently subjugated. There is damage done. As a community, we need to sit here, and if they're not going to help us fix it, we need
We
to
have
fix
to
ourselves.
rally around one another
And we
and
have
help us
to
fix
help
it.
ourselves, because at the end of
Right.
the day, ain't nobody always gonna be, and nobody's here to keep giving you a handout. And if we keep denying the power that we are doing nothing but giving into the hands of the people who subjugated us to begin with. We
Right.
cannot keep as a community blaming any and everybody when we don't want to
Right.
do the work in here.
Right.
And that was one of the main things I agreed with you about before. We cannot keep blaming everybody, but we can do and fix the channels necessary to
That's right.
better ourselves.
That's right. That's right.
Figure out what
And so
your issues are,
that's right.
deal with them. Be man and woman enough to say, I'm not okay. And that's okay for me to try to learn how to be okay.
That's right. That's right. And so, like you said, we have to stop blaming other people for where we are and deal with it. Deal with some of the things that we know inner wise, our inner child, or what that looks like, that's
Mm-hmm.
still there. And we want to lash out on others to make others feel a certain way because we don't feel good about ourselves,
Yeah.
right? And so until you address whatever that is within you that you need to address, then you'll always allow people to frustrate you
Mm-hmm.
enough that you'll act out just like that inner child throwing a tantrum.
You will always, you will also always accept what is less of you. Because if you don't do the work to get to truly understand your issues and work through them and past them and know how to notice them, you're going to continue to accept subpar treatment, subpar um, financial gains. You're going to continue your outlook on everything is going to be brought down to a level that you don't deserve because you aren't aware of the fact that your value is here. If you haven't learned how to deal with and truly understand yourself, you're going to continue to think your value is down here when in actuality it's up here, and all this in between is an area for people to take advantage, and we cannot have that.
Because what we tend to do is in our toxic behavior, have people to cheerlead that foolishness on, and then they think it's okay, and then they pass it down and think that it's okay, where we have to be able to address the behaviors so that it won't continue to be a continuous cycle of passing those behaviors on to our kids or to people that aren't so strong, that
Mm-hmm.
they don't have the ability to think for themselves, and they think it sounds right, it sounds good, and so what that
Mm-hmm.
person is saying seems to be right because that person don't know any better, and they attract and do those same toxic,
And we keep doing this.
right,
We keep
behaviors because
doing this.
that that's right. So we got to be sure that people understand where they are, when we see those things. If you see something, say something. And if there's any opportunity for you to offer a number, or EAP, or any type of suggestions for their church or anything where they can seek assistance, because the mental illness is real, and
Yes.
it is so important that people understand they don't look different, they look just like us. It's
Mm-hmm.
the same conversation of people that you have conversation with every day, that in your deep rooted inner self you still have not found a way to find you. I told somebody the other day, at this age in my life, yes, I do agree every battle is not mine to fight. I do agree that everything that comes up don't need to be addressed, but also I agree that it is. I've come into a place in my life where you don't get an opportunity to come for me and I don't address you.
Yeah.
I don't have to address you in a manner where it's so controversial, where me and you can't have a dialoguable conversation. But I am always going to be able to speak my mind on subject matters that mean something to me. And that's a lot of things of what I've seen in the Black community. We give bypasses to people that do these things that they shouldn't do, and we don't
Mm-hmm.
address it. No, you cannot think it's okay to do some of this stuff that we do and people don't point you out.
Yep. Yep. I'm sorry. Let us read some of these comments. We will start with Shimon. Wish a motherfucker would tell me my issues aren't valid. I matter. My family matter, and my family matters. My people that look like me matter, blood or not. And then there was a fax, and there's Jamie saying, understanding your vulnerabilities, understanding your sense of self, but recognizing that your opinion is not always needed.
Absolutely.
And then
Absolutely.
there's
Now,
an
when I say
understanding,
I can
also
stand up and
facts.
applaud on that one.
When I tell you,
Absolutely, because those
facts,
were opinions and they were not
they are
needed.
not facts,
It wasn't.
and that's what I feel
They
like
weren't
some of the
facts.
times people facts are needed. Facts are needed to go about everyday life, right? Your opinion is not needed because your opinion is like an asshole. Everybody got one, my G, and nobody has to take your shit. They don't. Nobody has to do that. To consistently to consistently demean someone just to make yourself feel better is problematic at best,
Right. Right.
damaging at worst, self-damaging at worst, and you can't get that. You can't get that back. You just can't. And to
Let me say this.
I
Let me
have a
say this. I
question.
want to
Go
piggyback
ahead.
on what you said very quickly. Keep your thought.
Mm-hmm.
If I was not that strong person that I am, if like we were just saying,
That
if it
letter
was
could have
somebody.
hurt you. That
Right.
letter could have
If it was
hurt you.
somebody that was really weak
Yeah.
in how they do and move and think, people commit suicide
Every
every
day.
day behind foolishness that they feel like they can't take because of someone else's opinion. So be careful the way you
What you
move
doing?
and the way you do things because you never know the edge that
That
somebody
somebody's
is
on.
already on, and your actions could easily tip that person over. But thank God that by grace, I am so strong in who I am. I am so believing that the way that I move, I because I have a spiritual connection with God, because I know what I do and how I do it is by the grace of God, and
Mm-hmm.
I make things happen. When I say I make things happen, this this shit ain't easy. But I make things happen. And because I make it happen, I feel good in my space and I feel good about who I am.
Mm-hmm. Because at the end of the day, and some people don't do this. And I heard this saying a long time ago that you have to know who you are and whose you are. Some people don't
That's
have
right.
that yet. And some people are trying to gain
That's
them.
right.
And some people don't even know what that thought process is. You have to walk around every day following that golden rule to treat people how you want to be treated. If you don't want to have somebody talk down to you, why would you do that to them?
Right.
If you don't want anybody to question your ability to do what you do, why would you do that to them? Like there is a reason that we are here we are here in community for a reason. Stop turning around and breaking down the community that you are predestined and given to have, and instead build it up. There's a reason why the black dollar doesn't is the shortest lived dollar in the community. Literally. It's consumer science. It is a study that shows that the African American dollar stays in the African community less than 30 minutes. 30 minutes. Whereas you go to our ethnic counterparts and go to the Asian dollar that stays in the Asian community for up to 3 weeks. The white dollar that stays in the white community for months. We have to stop looking outward at so many other things in this whataboutism so much that we completely forget the base that we have. But to the point that you had earlier, we talk about holding people accountable, and this may have to stretch over into our next conversation, which is great because we like to have multiple part
Yes, we
conversations.
do.
Um, how in examining holding people accountable, how do you see cancel culture holding people accountable? Because we have some examples like R. Kelly, to where R. Kelly was trying to hold people accountable. The Surviving R. Kelly documentary was holding him accountable, and now we've seen charges filed, we've seen convictions passed, and men sitting under prisons where they belong. And then we have situations where we have and this is not the same in any way, shape, or form.
That's
But we
okay.
have situations where we have a like a Chris Brown. No, I'm sorry, a Trey Songz. I'll say a Trey Songz, where people say things but nothing's happened, and people say more things but nothing's happened, and people say a little bit more things but nothing's happened. So, how do you see cancel culture playing a part in the African American community of us holding each other accountable? Yes, lock Trey Songz all the way up, but lock him up. Sorry, he is the some of these court filings. He is trash. Anyway, how do we see cancel culture in the Black community being used as a can we see cancel culture in the Black community being used as a positive weapon, or is it just another way to tear down another African American? What do you think?
Well, I think one of the things is, granted, like we said, I mean, if there's something that's going on that don't resonate with or don't like, you have a choice not to follow, so you can cancel.
Mm-hmm.
But my thing is, if we're seeing something real time in that space that they're in, you gotta address these things. Like, you
Right.
gotta say, like, man, come on, what are you doing? Like, that's
Right.
not right. We have it. Remember, we had a show. Yet again, if you people who've been following us know all these topics that we have, we talked about, do men really hold other men accountable for
Uh,
their actions? Like, we've had variety of show topics that we would love for you guys to go back and listen to, because again, right,
Podcast folks.
right, because when are we seeing things that we see our people do and we're not saying, Shawty, that's not right? I don't care who it is, your mom, your dad, your uncle, your cousin, your friend, your boyfriend. If it's not right, it's not right. So we got to be okay with calling people out on their mess.
Bullshit. I'll say it. Calling people
Right.
out on their shit. And don't be afraid to be that friend that call people out on their shit, because you better
Let's read some of the
off
comments. What
better
we
off
got?
doing it. So before lock them up, which 1000%
Come on.
agree, lock Trey Songz happy as hell all the way fuck up. But prior to that, comments that were made, you know, said always say be careful how you deal with people. They may take you out along with them, and that's true. And he said, "Damn right." I think to the cancel conversation, and then I do not know what you said. Nope for Jamil. So if you could let me
Oh, I
know, I'd
think when
appreciate it.
I was saying maybe, because I kind of seen it when it come up when we were talking about, do men actually hold other
Oh,
men accountable for that their mess? Because
we
again,
we found no.
right, right.
You are correct. No, because maybe he watched the show, guys. Go back and listen to it. Anyway, it says it's all pick and choose, but everyone. Shamar said it's all pick and choose, but everyone should be held to the same standards. Should
Absolutely.
being the operative
Should
word.
is the word. Yeah, we
Should is
gotta
the
gotta make.
word, because in America we like to use the word justice, and that's supposed to be a blonde bitch, but she's not. Um, and then J Mill said men are scared of other men. Okay, so it was that men are scared of other men based about
On the,
based about social standards, on the basis of social standards, and that's 1000% real. I do not to this day understand why people have no issue um pointing out the wrongs in strangers, but
mm-hmm.
won't point out the wrongs in the people you personally know. Like, that is a prime reason why the group of friends, or the group, like the circle that I have, is the circle that I have. And honestly, almost every circle that I've had since creating my own in high school, like, if I'm if I'm wrong, they know they can call me on my shit. Like, they know they can, and especially if they come to me like, "Yo, bro, like, I understand your feelings are valid, and that's cool. You wrong." They
Right,
know. Will I be happy to hear it? No, nobody likes to hear that they wrong,
right.
but they know regardless that honesty, that truth, and that loyalty it's above all to me. I may hate having to eat the crow, but I'll eat it, especially if I'm wrong. L is an L. Um, she's blind. She's blind to a dollar amount. There it is. Justice is blind to a dollar amount. You're 1000% right. Because justice, that bitch is not blind. Um, but yeah, like it. it truly baffles me, and I think this goes back to the accountability. This goes completely hand in hand with the accountability conversation that we're having, because in the African American community, unfortunately, we are the first when it is people, especially celebrities of ours, that do something wrong. We are the first to go in and then protect them. And it's kind of like, no, 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 no. Because if this was Lily White from the suburbs, about 2 blocks, 10 blocks, 20 blocks over, you'd have been like, lock them up.
Yeah, you got to be on it. I tell people all the time, and it gets in some cases, um, people, for the most part, people are receptive, but sometimes it gets me in trouble, and that's okay because I'm gonna always stand on the side of right.
Right.
No matter who you are, no matter what color, no matter what the relationship, I am always going to stand on the side of what's right.
Right.
At least what I think. If it's facts, then I'm gonna stand on the side of right of facts. If it's anything unfact, I'm still gonna lean on what my values and my morals tells
Tell me is
me
right. Yeah.
what is right.
Yeah.
So, we gotta be okay with people not. I remember, I'm gonna give you a prime example, very quickly. It was five of us worked in an office, and a situation occurred. One girl, she got shipped out of our office, so it was me and the other three, and they were linked together, and they stood their grounds on what they believed in, and I was the odd girl out, and you know what? It didn't make me no difference, because when you stand on what you believe in and you know what's right, it doesn't matter. You got to be okay with it being in uncomfortable situations when you know you're standing on business, when you know you're standing
And
on
on
things that's
principle,
right,
that's
and
it.
standing on principle. It doesn't
That's
matter. Be okay with that. And if people are okay with not being in your space any longer, and you lose friends, and sometimes, close friends, families along the way, that's okay. You just got to know you got one person to answer to when you leave this world, and that's that man upstairs.
If I say that goes 1000% back to, you have to be strong. You have to have a strong sense of self to really be able to be out here doing the things that you have to do. But we are getting close to 8 o'clock, and we are trying to stay within our hour. We're trying to get better at doing that, guys. We do not always do that,
Because
especially when the
it's so
topics are
good, right?
juicy. We do not do that as bad. We do not do that as much. But this is a perfect example. This is a perfect example of how to make sure we have a part three.
Right. So,
So,
guys, we want to definitely thank you for tuning in. And again, as we always say, make sure you guys are inboxing us your topics, because we cater to your topics. I think when you have an audience that comes back, you've made a connection, and you can kind of see what your audience would like to talk about, and we would like to continue on that path. We don't want to veer so out of our element where we lose our viewers. So please continue to send us the topics that you would like to talk about. I will tell you, politics and religion is kind of right. We won't go there, because if there's something that's happening in another country that's making news, we'll kind of touch
I'm about to
that.
say we'll touch it,
Yeah,
but we're not gonna. And we only do that to mainly because we are, like we've just said, we're very solid in our own morals and our own beliefs. It's not us. It is a respect for you all,
absolutely.
and a respect for what is happening, because what happens, what we talk about, especially if we're talking about some political things, that's an ongoing situation, and anything can change and be touchy at any moment. So that's not a, oh, we're afraid to talk about politics or religion. We're
It just
not.
gets so sticky, and
It's because it's a sticky
sensitive,
thing, and we don't want in these comments and other dialogues people to get disrespectful,
right?
people to get outlandish,
Right.
people to get hurtful, people to get physically hurtful. We just don't want any of that, so we try to stay off
That's
that as
right.
much as possible. But we are not afraid to, if something comes up. Like I've said certain stuff about certain politicians. I've said certain stuff about elections. We're not scared to touch it if we have to.
Yeah.
But we try to, like, as a main fortress, kind of stay off of those. Cause they get touchy.
So yeah,
But
guys, this has been great. We are hoping you guys we want to thank you guys first and foremost,
Yes.
especially the ones that are recurring, for always tuning in. That makes us feel
We
amazing. Our
love you.
true fan base. So thank you, guys. You are the real MVPs, and so we appreciate that. I always say there's a lot of amazing people out there. If you aren't one, please, please, please become one and reach out and touch those that you know need that touch, so that you can bring them over to your side of what amazing looks like. And B, I give it to you.
And always, always, always remember, life is not a dress rehearsal. It is your final performance. So please live every day like it is your last, because you never know when that last one will be. We love you guys so, 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 so much. Please listen to us back if you are unable to, or you miss a show, or you miss anything in this show. Just listen to us back. We will see you next week, 7 o'clock.